Australia in the 1920s. Soldiers had just returned from the battlefield and were looking to have a good time. Money was being thrown around and people were spending in order to have an enjoyable experience. But on the 4th of September 1929, all the spending and throwing money around caught up with the economy when the stock market crashed, causing the biggest depression in economical history. Throughout the rest of the 20s and all through the 30s, the Great Depression reigned. During the Depression, the majority of the Australian public were without food, jobs, and even homes. Every day was a constant struggle for them. It was a period of severe hardships, and as a result, many of them turned their attention to sport to take their minds off the situation. Cricket, in particular, has always been a sport for which Australians have felt deep affection. Even before the separate colonies of Australia were united by federation and recognised as a nation, there was an Australian cricket team. In 1882, the first Australian cricket team travelled to England, the birthplace of modern cricket, where they defeated the English cricket team. This simple victory in a game of cricket against their motherland instilled a great amount of national pride in Australians. In much the same way as that game of cricket had done in 1882, the heroic abilities of Bradman during the 1930s boosted the morale of society and renewed their sense of national pride. Ordinary people could escape their worries of their daily lives by immersing themselves in stories of Bradman's heroic sporting feats. As a result, he was often described by others at the time as a bright star, owing to the way he inspired, even in the most desolate of times. Sir Donald Bradman was born on the 27th of August 1908 in Cootamundra, New South Wales. He grew up in Bowral as an athletic child where he began by playing backyard cricket. While at home, he used to bounce an old golf ball off a water tank and hit it on the rebound with a cricket stump. It has been said that it was during those early days that Bradman first developed the necessary skills to prepare him for his future. It was a future in which he would become revered as the greatest batsman in Australian history, if not the world. The run-making machine, as he would become known later in his life, showed talent throughout his younger years, scoring his first century in the Bowral High School cricket team while only 12. At 17, he was a regular player for the Bowral senior team, and during the 1925-26 season, he made 1,318 runs in 23 innings. He then progressed on to playing cricket for Sydney's St George club at the first grade level, until he was selected in 1927 to join the New South Wales team. By the following year, selectors saw such great potential in him that he was invited to play for Australia. In 1928, he played his very first Test match, representing Australia against England in the Ashes series. However, it did not look to be a promising start. He scored only 18 runs in the first innings and 1 in the second. He was dropped from the second Test, but was given a second chance for the third Test and did not disappoint. In the 1928-29 season, he amassed 1,619 runs, of which more than 700 were scored in the form of a century on the batting oval. From there, he never looked back, splitting his bat on the ball that gave him 100 to work his way into the record books as the youngest ever player to score a Test century at the age of 20 years and 4 months. From those early beginnings, Bradman continued on to change the history of cricket, rewriting more records in both the national and international sectors than ever thought possible for one person. Many of these records, over half a century on, are yet to be surpassed, not only by any Australian cricket player, but by any professional cricket player in the world. Bradman's career in first-class cricket as a prodigious batsman extended for over 2 decades. One of the most memorable moments was during a match in the Sheffield Shield competition in 1930, when he made the highest personal score in a first-class match in Australia, 452 runs scored in the world record time of 415 minutes. He later went on to captain the South Australian Sheffield Shield team, become a selector for state and national teams, and captain Australia 12 times. In his total career, he amassed 271 centuries and scored an extraordinary total of 50,731 runs from 669 innings. Later that year, on the Ashes tour of 1930, Bradman made his highest Test score, 334, at Headingley in Leeds. Bradman was not only famous for his batting, but his name is also synonymous with the style of bowling which was invented by the British in an attempt to respond to his increasing number of unanswered runs. Fast leg theory, or bodyline, as it has more infamously become known from the 1932 to 1933 Test series, was a dangerous tactic devised by the English which intimidated and even injured batsmen who faced it. Bradman eventually managed to develop a strategy around the bodyline attack, before any rules were introduced to restrict it. The technique had still managed to meet the British objectives, that is, to limit Bradman's batting score and win the Test series. Controversy also continued to follow Bradman off the pitch throughout his life, like many popular figures in today's society. Bradman also had to deal with the legalities of contracts and agreements. In 1930, he was approached to write a book, but could not publish it until after returning from England due to a clause in his touring contract which prevented him working for any media company for the duration of the tour. While he did not publish the book, he made a start on writing it. By the time that the team returned from England, some components of it had already been published in London Daily Star. Bradman himself was innocent, having played no part in the negotiations with the newspaper and having received no money from the deal. Despite this, Bradman was found to be in breach of his contract and was fined £50. In 1948, Bradman entered the cricket oval to bat in what would be his last Test match before retirement. Earlier in the series, Bradman had scored 173 runs on the final day, allowing Australia to retain the Ashes. He needed to score only 4 runs in his last match to bring his career's Test batting average to 100 exactly. In a surprising anticlimax, Bradman was out for a duck, scoring not a single run. However, nothing could diminish the support for the public for this cricketing great, who still managed to record an astonishing personal Test match average of 99.94 runs. Still to this day, there is not a single first-class batsman in the world who has even come close to surpassing this record. The South African Graham Pollock's 60.97 is the second highest Test average for a player with an extended career. Even after he had retired from cricket, Bradman was still being recognised for his contributions not only as a sporting hero but also as an inspirational figure worldwide. In 1949 he was awarded the status of Knight Bachelor. In 1979 he was honoured with what is now Australia's highest civil award, a Companion of Order of Australia. He passed away in 2001 at 92 years of age and was inducted into the Australian Cricket Hall of Fame 5 years after his death. A cricket oval named after him lies across the street from the house he grew up in Barrow, as well as a museum dedicated to his fame and success in the cricket world.